Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? It's your boy, The Doc, and we're back for the Week 3 Injury Update show. For you guys that don't know, this is where I, an actual doctor, break down every single NFL game, tell you about all the injuries that you need to know about for your fantasy team so that you can head in the weekend nice and relaxed. But we got a lot to talk about, so we're just going to jump right in. Week 3 Injury Updates. Let's go. All right, first up, we got to talk about a very serious topic here at Headliner Nation, a moment of silence. We got 3 of them. It's when a player is ruled out for the rest of the fantasy season with an injury. And sadly, our boy Nick Chubb down for the count this year. Knee dislocation on Monday. Absolutely brutal injury for Nick Chubb. The second time that his left knee has had a multi-ligament tear. In college, he was able to spare his ACL when he dislocated in college, but it's unlikely that he has managed to avoid tearing his ACL with this dislocation. Brutal injury. I'm not going to show it, but just know that we are talking about a very lengthy recovery for our boy, probably the champion of this channel, one of the guys that we have enjoyed watching the most over the last 5-6 years. Nick Chubb, done for the year, knee dislocation. But he was not the only guy who was done for the year with an ACL tear. Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs, all-pro corner, done for the year with an ACL tear in practice on Thursday. So he's been ruled out, a huge blow for a very, very talented Cowboys defense. Now, Colts rookie running back Evan Hull was placed on IR after week 1, but was ruled out for the year earlier this week after he opted to have meniscus repair surgery instead of just cutting the meniscus out. They repaired it. They're hoping to have him back by next year. He should be fully healthy by next year. The Colts definitely running out of running backs right now. We'll see if Jonathan Taylor makes a comeback soon, but moment of silence for our boy Nick Chubb, Trevon Diggs, and Evan Hull. But the show must go on. And we got Thursday Night Football to talk about. Some big injuries to talk about from Thursday night. Giants at the 49ers. Giants running back Saquon Barkley has an ankle injury. He was ruled out early in the week, and an x-rays did come back negative. So that's a good sign that nothing is broken. But the team did show some optimism that it was not a significant sprain. The problem is that teams lie. They don't tell us the truth. On video, it looked like a high ankle sprain to me. Saquon Barkley has come out and said it was a high ankle sprain, not a low ankle sprain like the team was reporting. And so the team does play on Monday in week 4. So he's got 11 days to recover. Hopefully it's not a major sprain, but I would not be surprised if we are without Saquon Barkley for multiple weeks here with this high ankle sprain. Now, 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk is dealing with a shoulder injury. He did get a limited practice in, but was ruled out on Thursday, landed hard on the shoulder, and a defender landed on top of him. And so I am guessing, based on the video, that this is an AC joint sprain. Most likely, if he would have had an entire week to prep for this, there's a chance he would have been able to play. I think it would be more likely that he would play on a Sunday, but being a Thursday game, the team's opting to give him some rest. So Brandon Ayuk missing out on Thursday, but this is not something that I expect to linger for a long time. All right, heading into the Sunday early slate, we got Colts at the Ravens. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson dealing with a concussion. Now the second time he has had an injury after a game in just his short 2-game stint in the NFL. I told you guys last week, this guy has got to learn how to protect himself. Has a concussion, didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Gardner Minshew looks to start against a very solid Ravens defense, but he's going to have to do that without offensive guard Quentin Nelson or center Ryan Kelly. Quentin Nelson dealing with turf toe, has not practiced yet this week. Does not look like he's going to be able to play. Center dealing with a concussion. Didn't practice at all this week, also trending towards not playing. Now, the Ravens have some injury issues as well. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. dealing with an ankle sprain, has not practiced yet this week. Landed on the injury report in week 1 with an ankle injury and then left week 2. Didn't return. He's looking unlikely for this game specifically. Now, running back Justice Hill has turf toe, has not practiced yet this week. He's not likely to play. And then they have 2 injuries on the offensive line. Ronnie Stanley, I think I said that wrong last week. Sorry for anyone who was upset. Sorry for those those Ravens fans. You know how the Steelers are. We just like to butcher your names for fun. But Ronnie Stanley, dealing with a knee sprain, hasn't practiced yet. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to play. And then center Tyler Linderbaum, also out with an ankle injury, has not practiced yet. Doesn't look like he will play. Now, heading over to the Titans at the Browns. Titans running back Derrick Henry is dealing with a toe injury, limited on Wednesday, DNP on Thursday, so did not practice Thursday. Same thing with wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. He was actually full on Wednesday, practice, no issues, and then was limited Thursday. But the good news is I think both of these downgrades appear to be rest related, not injury related. I do expect both of these guys to play on Sunday. Now for the Browns, wide receiver Amari Cooper had an injury late last week on Saturday, has a groin strain, didn't practice Wednesday, but was full on Thursday. So he is going to be fine. He will be able to play this week. Heading over to the Falcons at the Lions. Falcons don't really have any injuries to talk about, but the Lions have a litany of things going on right now. Tackle Taylor Decker has not practiced yet. He missed last week. Don't expect him to play this week. Running back David Montgomery has a quad strain / contusion. He said he expects to miss a few weeks, but the team is calling this a day-to-day injury. But remember, the teams lie to us. We can't trust them. I'm going with what D-Mont said. Most likely, he is not going to be able to play this week, and you should hopefully get some production out of Jahmyr Gibbs, given that this is the first chance he's really had to have that backfield mostly to himself. Now, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown has turf toe, or what they're not calling it turf toe, but based on what I saw on Sunday, it looks like it is a turf toe issue. Now, he did leave the game, got taped up, got his big toe taped up, and they put a steel plate in his shoe, which is trying to limit the extension of the big toe, which is typically what you would do if someone has turf toe. But he was able to come back and play in that game. Didn't practice Wednesday, limited on Thursday. I think that the team is going to let him play, but I would not be surprised if Sunday morning they opt to go for the healthy route and choose to sit him, despite the fact that I do think he would be able to play through this again. Now, the other problem that the Lions are facing is that wide receiver Josh Reynolds has a groin strain, limited on Wednesday and Thursday. He should play, but hoping this injury does not turn into a disaster for the Lions offense. Is a big Sam Laporta game coming? He's probably a tight end I'm throwing in my lineups, knowing that the rest of the wide receivers in this room are banged up or suspended if you're talking about Williams. Now, moving on to the Saints at the Packers. Saints running back Jamal Williams is dealing with a hamstring strain. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Seems very unlikely to play this week. Lots of fab money being spent on Tony Jones Jr., but I still think Alvin Kamara is probably the back to own moving forward. For the Packers, running back Aaron Jones has a hamstring injury as well. Didn't practice on Wednesday. Finally got a limited practice in on Thursday. Was able to practice. I like seeing that. Hopefully my suspicions that this was not a major injury, that it was just a minor strain, are true, so that he can return this week. If not this week, hopefully by next week. Wide receiver Christian Watson also dealing with a hamstring injury. He was limited Wednesday, but didn't practice Thursday, but that was due to rest. The team has a plan for him. Looks like he might be able to get some snaps in on Sunday. I do expect him to play, but don't expect a full workload. I would not be throwing him straight into my fantasy lineups if I can avoid it. Heading over to the Texans at the Jaguars. Texans have 22 players listed on their injury report, including their IR players. So a lot of injuries going on at the Texans. Quarterback CJ Stroud has a shoulder injury. He was limited on Wednesday, but full on Thursday. He will play. Same thing with wide receiver Tank Dell. Has a thigh injury, limited Wednesday, full Thursday. We expect him to play. Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle, has a knee injury, was limited Wednesday and Thursday. Looks like he will be able to play. Offensive tackle George Fant, dealing with an ankle injury, was full on Thursday. He's going to play. But really the big injury for the Texans this week is cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. has a hamstring strain that he picked up. He's already been ruled out for Sunday with this injury. There's a lot of rumors going around that he will probably end up on IR with this injury. This happened at the very end of practice the very last play of practice on Thursday. So big injury for the secondary for the Texans that has not been playing too bad. They're going up against the Jaguars, and Calvin Ridley now has an easier time because there are actually 3 other defensive backs that are injured for the Texans. They're going against the JV squad this Jaguars offense is, so I would not be surprised to see Calvin Ridley hitting a ton of yardage this week. And if you want to, head on over to our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Use the code Headliners. Throw some money on the hires for Calvin Ridley this week. Win yourself some money if you use the code Headliners. They're deposit matching your first $100 of deposits. Now, for the Jaguars, wide receiver Zay Jones has a knee injury. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Does not look like he's going to play. Even more reason for you to head over to Underdog and use the hires for Calvin Ridley. I'm expecting a big day out of him. Now, heading over to the Broncos at the Dolphins. Broncos are pretty healthy. No real injuries to talk about there. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill dealing with an ankle injury, limited on Wednesday, full on Thursday, though. He will play, but wide receiver Jalen Waddle dealing with a concussion, didn't practice at all this week so far. Took a helmet to the back of the head. Kind of a weird play. He was falling down, got hit in the back of the head, helmet to helmet. Was not able to return. Back-to-back DNPs, typically with a concussion, are almost always going to lead to a missed game on Sunday, so just plan to be without Jalen Waddle this week. Moving on to the Chargers at the Vikings. Chargers running back Austin Ekeler has an ankle sprain. We've talked about this the last couple weeks. Didn't practice yet this week. Like I said last week, being labeled as a normal ankle sprain, but the video showed high ankle sprain to me. So normal return to play is about 3 to 6 weeks on an ankle injury. That's a high ankle sprain. So expect another missed game for Austin Ekeler. Defensive end Joey Bosa dealing with a hamstring strain. Limited Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday. Friday is going to be key for him, but based on how the week's gone, I would expect him to play in this game. I think they're resting him on Thursday. We'll see, though, how he looks in practice on Friday. As for the Vikings, no real injuries to talk about, so we're going to head straight in to the Patriots at the Jets. Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker dealing with a knee injury, was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. He should play this week despite the limited work in practice. I'm still sitting him, though. Pretty tough matchup against Sauce Gardner and the Jets secondary. For the Jets, offensive tackle Mekhi Becton has a knee injury, was limited on Wednesday, but returned to full practice on Thursday. He is good to go. Their other offensive tackle, Dwayne Brown, though, has a shoulder injury, didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not expecting him to play. And then kicker Greg Zuerlein was limited on, didn't practice on Wednesday, limited Thursday. He has a groin strain. I do expect Zuerlein to play, but he's going to be a little bit banged up. Last game of the early Sunday slate, we got Bills at the Commanders. Bills tight end Dawson Knox has a back injury, has not practiced yet this week. Definitely want to be looking at Dalton Kincaid to have a breakout week this week with Dawson Knox banged up. Commanders also dealing with tight end issues. Logan Thomas was concussed. This was a brutal hit. Actually managed to hold on to the football, caught a touchdown, and then got shellacked helmet to helmet. Very tough play for him to hold on to the ball. So impressed with that, but hasn't practiced yet this week. Does not look like Logan Thomas is going to be able to play. If you're looking for a deep flyer, John Bates, tight end for the Commanders, could have some value this week if you're looking for a real cheap option at the tight end position. All right, heading into the midday slate for Sunday. First up, we got Panthers at Seahawks. Panthers running back Miles Sanders has a pec strain, was limited on Wednesday and Thursday, but is expected to play. He was practicing in pads and taking contact on Thursday, so I'd expect him to play this week. Quarterback Bryce Young, though, for the Panthers has an ankle sprain, tweaked it on Sunday, did not practice at all this week, is not expected to play in this game. So if you had Bryce Young starting for whatever reason, make sure you find a backup. His backup is currently Andy Dalton. I did not expect to see Andy Dalton starting a game in 2023, but here we are. Seems like he's kind of cursed. Everyone that he backs up gets hurt. We should probably look into that. Andy Dalton still finding a way to make it onto the field on Sundays. As for the Seahawks, offensive tackle Charles Cross hasn't practiced yet this week. Does not look like he's going to be able to play. Wide receiver DK Metcalf has a rib contusion. Didn't practice Wednesday, but did get some work in on Thursday. Took a hard shot to the ribs. went to the locker room, got x-rays. They were negative and managed to come back. He's banged up, but I do expect him to be able to produce against a Panther secondary that is just not very good. Heading over to the Cowboys at the Cardinals. Cowboys wide receiver Brandon Cooks dealing with that MCL sprain, has worked in a limited capacity all week. Looks like he's going to be back this week, not starting him in fantasy. Offensive guard Zach Martin's got an ankle sprain, didn't practice yet this week. Looks like he is unlikely to play. Offensive tackle Tyler Smith has a hamstring strain. He is practicing. I do expect him to play. And then center Tyler, I'm going to butcher this name, so just bear with me. Biadazi. You get it. He has a hamstring strain. He was not the only guy that was hurt in practice. We already talked about Trayvon Diggs. Both those guys get hurt the same week. Looks like he is unlikely to play with the hamstring issue. Cardinals, not supposed to be a good team, but they are not getting hurt. So we are moving on to the Bears at the Chiefs. Bears, a wide receiver Darnell Mooney has a knee contusion, has not practiced yet this week, put up a big 0 in the stat column in week 2. Now looks like he's not going to play this week. Quarterback Justin Fields wants more options in the passing game, wants more freedom to throw the ball, is afraid to throw the ball, but he has to look for DJ Moore early and often without Darnell Mooney here. And he's going to have to hang with the Chiefs, which is a tall task. But the Chiefs are banged up a little bit too. Running back Isaiah Pacheco has a hamstring strain. Didn't practice Wednesday, limited Thursday. Looks like he's going to get some work, going to be able to play, but I'm probably sitting him. I like Jerick McKinnon, CEH, to get a little bit more work in this week's game. I'm sitting Pacheco in most of my leagues. Take that how you will. Now, wide receiver Kadarius Toney dealing with a turf toe injury, has not practiced yet this week. Does not look like he is going to be able to play. Heading on to the Sunday night game, we got my Pittsburgh Steelers at the Raiders. Steelers safety Minka Fitzpatrick. You'd think I wasn't even a fan of the team with the way I'm butchering my own guys' names. Anyway, he has a chest injury, didn't practice Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Did take some heat for the Nick Chubb injury this week, but is dealing with a chest issue of his own. I'm still expecting him to play on Sunday. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson had that hamstring strain, was placed on IR, now not able to return until at least week 7. So just keep that in mind. If you have Deontay Johnson, probably time to throw him into an IR spot. Now for the Raiders, we got wide receiver Jacoby Myers coming back from that concussion in week 1, limited Wednesday, but full on Thursday. He is going to play after missing week 2. Wide receiver Devontae Adams also left with possible concussion symptoms in week 2, but he was able to pass the concussion protocol tests on Monday, so he will play as well. Last 2 games of the week, Monday Night Football. We got a double header again this week. Eagles at the Buccaneers. Eagles cornerback Avonte Maddox dealing with a pec tear, was placed on IR, but there is some hope that he will be able to return this year. Cornerback James Bradbury has a concussion, has not practiced on Wednesday, but did practice a little bit Thursday. Looks like he's on pace to play. Safety Reed Blankenship has a rib contusion, was limited on Thursday. Looks like he's going to play. Running back Kenneth Gainwell missed last week because of the Thursday game, has a rib injury, but is going to practice this week and should be back to play. We'll see what happens with DeAndre Swift having the huge game last week with Kenny Gainwell coming back, but they won't have their other running back, Boston Scott. He has a concussion, has not practiced yet this week. Does not look like he is going to play. And then wide receiver Devontae Smith dealing with a hamstring/thigh injury. Couldn't find a whole lot on this. Just know he was limited on Thursday. Keep an eye on it. I still expect him to play, but the limited tag does have me a bit concerned that maybe something popped up in practice this week. As for the Bucs, running back Chase Edmonds has an MCL tear, was placed on IR, expecting him to return around week 8. Last game of the week, Rams at the Bengals. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua dealing with the oblique strain that he had last week. Is missing some practice time, but the team is expecting him to play on Sunday. He's already showing some elite traits. Puka Nacua, unbelievably talented at getting open in space right now. We'll see what happens because we have an update for wide receiver Cooper Kupp. He's dealing with that hamstring strain, was placed on IR and can't return until week 5. But this week we got an update from Coach Sean McVay, and it was optimistic that Cooper Kupp would be able to return and play in week 5. If Puka Nacua is a stud and Cooper Kupp, oh my gosh, just kill me here. If Cooper Kupp comes back and is able to play, I can't believe I called him Cooper Kupp. Whatever. I'm going to just roll with it. If Cooper Kupp comes back and is able to play and Puka Nacua is great, this could be a dangerous offense once again. And finally, let's talk about quarterback Joe Burrow for the Bengals. Didn't practice on Thursday, but the team is optimistic that he will be able to play on Monday. He's technically a game time decision. If you have a high-end option that you can put in, I would be very concerned that Joe Burrow is not going to play in this game. I know the team expects him to play. It sounds like they're taking it easy, but I'm worried. And thank goodness we got through this week and I only mispronounced like 6 names. All right, that's it for the injury update show. Make sure you check out our friends over at Manscaped. Use the code Headliners, 20% off plus free shipping on your order. Of course, we want to thank our friends over at Pristine Auction for sending us all sorts of swag to give away. I need to talk to Jake. Maybe I should get some swag to give away on the injury show. Let me know in the comments if you think that Jake should be hooking the doc up with some swag to hand out to Headliner Nation. And of course, our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Use the code Headliners, get $100 first deposit match over at Underdog. Now, if you guys have any questions for me or if there's anybody I missed, let me know in the comments down below. I want this show to be interactive. I want you guys to know that I appreciate you. And if you've ever had a burning question that you want me to answer live on the show, let me know in the comments. If I like a question or if I really feel like I want to dig into one of the questions, I will do that at the end of next week's show. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys liking, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you want more injury news, breaking news as fast as we can get it to you, make sure you join the Headliner Nation. Hit that little join button, get into our Discord. Our Discord is where you can get access to me 24/7 to answer questions for you guys, for your fantasy teams directly. It is such a value during the fantasy season to be able to reach out to all of Headliner Nation and have them help you make your decisions, help you win. We want everyone to win here. So make sure you're joining the nation. But that's all I got for you guys this week. Appreciate everybody out there that watches this video. The doc is out.